Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first edition of Unlocked. Unlocked is Tomorrow Unlocked live stream discussing cyber culture. And it's a pilot today for a new monthly format in which we would invite researchers like today, filmmakers, or anyone else who has a really interesting story to tell about cyber culture. And we would focus on one topic. And the topic we're focusing on today is privacy. And while that maybe sounds a bit dry, it is not, I can tell you. So don't switch off. It will be quite exciting. We are having two guests in our stream today. And both are from the Global Research and Analysis team in Kaspersky, which very modestly calls itself great. Let's start with Felix. Felix Aimé is a researcher based in Poitiers in France. And he developed an open source tool which turns a Raspberry Pi into a device that detects privacy intrusions on your smartphones. Felix, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Rainer, and welcome everyone. I'm really happy to be here today to talk about privacy with you guys.
And our second guest today, who is also kind of my co-moderator in the future, is Marco Preuss. Marco is located close to Eichstätt in Bavaria in Germany. And he recently bought a massive amount of hard drives, and he will tell us why he did that. And even more worrying, he will tell us what he found on these drives, because that's what he bought them for. He wanted to check what people actually leave on devices. Welcome, Marco.
Thanks for having me.
Good. Let's kick off with a potentially simple question. What is privacy? In 2 sentences. Felix.
For me, privacy needs to be defined as a right for anyone to protect himself and his relative against different form of tracking and surveillance. It can be from people or algorithm surveillance.
Thanks. Marco.
Privacy basically is an area where you can fully be yourself. You can express yourself without any external influence, control, or whatever. So it's your personal 100% area.
Has privacy become more or less important in the current COVID situation? Marco.
I would say it had become way more important. So COVID, of course, forced many of us to adapt to, I don't like the term, but let's use it, a new reality. So people are working from home. Companies needed to extend their infrastructure. Before, everything was basically in-house. Of course, you had some remote workers, but the core of the company always was in-house, and now you have these remote scenarios. And so more and more things are done digitally, also in private life. In many countries, you have kind of lockdown, semi-lockdown, so you cannot easily go to a shop and buy whatever you want. But you basically are forced to order, or at least pre-order stuff online. So many transactions, either in the corporate or private life, are done on a digital infrastructure. So more and more data means you're giving out a lot of information about yourself, your behavior, your doings, to all kind of third parties. And in this, of course, privacy gets more and more important because you have less and less control about it.
You spoke now about data that you're giving away, let's say, voluntarily. Felix, what you were looking into and what you were creating recently is more about people giving away privacy and data absolutely voluntarily. So you build a little program that runs on a Raspberry Pi, and it helps people to understand if their phones share data that, well, let's put it simple, they don't want to share. Where did that idea come from? Why did you, or how did you start working on that?
Yeah, so the idea of this project that we named Tinycheck came to me during a meeting with a woman shelter named like Le Centre Hubertine Auclair, which is in Paris. And this meeting was about Stalkerware. And for those who don't know what Stalkerware is, it's a malicious application that can be installed on your smartphone by like a lovely one, for example, to track your moves, steal your text message, your pictures, well, almost everything that is accessible on your smartphone. But of course, this kind of device can be used, for example, to find any like application that is sending some information over the internet, like your geolocalization or any kind of spyware. So, like during this meeting, we talk about like this threat, but they confessed that they had no technical skills and no like enough time to analyze the smartphone of the victims. So facing today's issue, I had the idea to develop a kind of, it's really kind of very tiny device, a tiny kiosk, based on Raspberry Pi, where the people can scan their phone very easily by connecting them to a Wi-Fi network that will analyze the communication of their phone. And if there is something suspect in this communication, for example, an application which is connecting to a server which is referenced as a Stalkerware server or something like that, the victim is directly notified, and in that it's in few seconds.
Now, everything that includes Raspberry Pis always sounds a bit nerdy, maybe.
Yeah.
Would you say it's something that an average user like I or my wife could use?
We try to do a very ergonomic solution. So the use of Tinycheck is very easy. Even like the French CEO of Kaspersky was using it, or I have my girlfriend, which is using it just for test because I don't install Stalkerware on her phone. But yeah, it's very easy to use, and also we try to have a very easy installation. So you just have to launch a script, and every dependency, everything will be installed without any like interaction. You don't have to type any line of code or anything.
So basically, you just have to get a Raspberry Pi and be able to
Yeah,
install something on it.
yeah,
Now, obviously, Stalkerware that we're talking about is, well, let's say a special kind of privacy intrusion.
yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about Stalkerware for quite a while now. I still ask myself, which kind of people are using Stalkerware on others? Is there like a profile for them, or is it just every average person? How would you
Yeah,
describe that?
you need to know that like Stalkerware are today a real business, and many companies today share this market of domestic surveillance by proposing their like spyware for like few thousand bucks maximum. And due to their ease of like use and installation, the spyware can be used by almost everyone. It could be your husband, your relatives, your employer, in short, like everyone who wants to spy on your life. And you don't need to have any technical knowledge to install this stuff. It's very easy, and so anyone can have access to it. Yeah.
Okay, let's say someone installs it on a Raspberry Pi, brings that thing into their network, finds out there is something fishy with my network traffic, and it's sending my position to someone. To whom would people speak when they found this out?
It's the main issues is here is that even like the threat have been studied for years by various like security researchers like me. The awareness at the local level, for example, in neighborhood association like women's shelter, is still at its like early stages. So it's very difficult for a victim to find someone around her to who understand the threat. You can try to reach like big associations related to domestic violence, for example, or going to file a complaint at the nearest like police stations. But the way to be understood and to find the real culprit will be very difficult. Anyway, like facing to that, my main advice today will be to go on stopstalkerware.org, which is a website with like a lot of resources for the victims and many advice regarding, for example, how to handle this threat, how to keep evidence for further investigation, and of course, how to remove stalkerware and protect your digital life.
That would have been my next question. Is it difficult to remove it when you
It
found it?
really, it depends. Sometimes you can just have like a factory reset of your smartphone and it's okay. But we still don't know. It very depends of the kind of stalkerware. Sometimes it's very unsophisticated applications, and some stalkerware I think can be at like root level of your phone. So the best way today is to keep your phone with a stalkerware by knowing that you have a stalkerware on it and have a second phone for your real private calls and everything. And keeping this stalkerware on your phone can allow you after to like to go to the police with that, and it's a big evidence because if you delete it, if you reset your phone, you will don't have any more evidence that you have been subject to the spying campaign from your like relative or I don't know. Yep.
Marco.
I think that's also a very important point. I mean, when you just remove it, you of course lose all the evidence, or not all the evidence, but a huge part of the evidence. But on the other side, always keep in mind that the attacker in this case, like the guy behind this stalker operation, is getting usually a notification that it's removed, that he don't have access anymore, and this can lead to even more violence, physical violence. So it will or may put the victim into a very dangerous situation. And therefore, I fully agree with Felix. You shouldn't simply just detect and then remove the stalkerware, but really get help. A police is a very good point, because you can file a lawsuit against that guy and inspection. There are many organizations who can help you, but simply deleting it will maybe more dangerous than other stuff.
Do you know how often people are actually being caught? I think, Marco, you were talking about a case before that is currently going on in Germany. But is my feeling is that it's still the exception that people are being caught and maybe taken to court for stalkerware, right?
The case in Germany, which I was talking at the moment about, like today to some other media, is there is a court case going on at the moment in Germany where a guy killed his former girlfriend. He was stalking her, or I'm not sure if she was already his girlfriend, but he was stalking her also with the help of such an app. And finally, at some stage, he killed her. So that's, of course, like the ultimate worst case scenario. The problem with Stalkerware is it's meant to be hidden. So for a non-technical person, it may be a bit tricky to identify it, and therefore really either use a free antivirus, also from us there is a free antivirus, to detect it, because really some of these apps are either showing like they're behaving as their regular app. Today we tested one which just showed that it's kind of a Wi-Fi app, which is of course completely bullshit, but it just pretended to be. So look at that, check it, because I think there is a huge hidden number of victims.
Oh,
I don't hear you.
yeah, we don't hear you. Yeah.
Maybe Felix, you have something to add regarding this.
I don't know related to the numbers, but it's very interesting to see with my friend that some of them have been targeted, or they suspect to have been targeting with Stalkerware, and the main aim today is to don't have like only this suspicion, but to have proof that they are targeting by that. So it's why Tinycheck or installing any antivirus on smartphone can be a good way to know if your or one of your relative is targeted by Stalkerware. But we see in the Kaspersky telemetry, of course, that we have a lot of users that have like Stalkerware installed on their phone. Yeah.
I think the interesting thing from my perspective regarding Tinycheck is also that it's like you don't have to install anything on the phone, because depending on the situation, maybe a change on a phone can also be observed by the attacker. So this is really the first step, I would say, using tools like Tinycheck, which is of course meant especially for that, to secretly trying to observe if there's a Stalkerware involved. As a first step. So yeah. You're back, Rana?
No.
No, he is still not back. Well. Okay, we still don't hear you. I think one thing, just to get up the question what you raised before. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't really follow all different kind of court cases going on in Germany or in other countries, because there may be some. But the problem, of course, especially in this scenario, is it's not only a digital crime. So it's not just like you have this random malware which like steals money from your bank account or steals some data, but you have some person which is in your physical network around you somewhere. And usually the use of Stalkerware goes along quite often with physical abuse, with violence, with psychological abuse. So there is much more involved than just, oh, here's a software, you can detect it and then do something against it. And I put it this way, I fear that there may be a lot of victims, either aware or not aware of this situation, which in any way fear going to an organization, to the police or whatever, because they fear the physical abuse of this attacker. And I think that's the real situation which comes along here, and why this Stalkerware is so something, I would not say extraordinary or unique, but different. It's really different compared to regular malware, what you have.
Yeah, sure. And we
No.
still don't have you. Thanks. It's a pilot. So,
Well, let me
so you
just.
can speak about your project, Marco, I think.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think let's continue on that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, privacy is a huge topic. This Stalkerware, of course, is a huge attack on the privacy of a person. There's, of course, a lot more going on. And end of last year, like just recently in December, a colleague of mine and me were doing some quite interesting research from our perspective. Because usually what you have, especially around Christmas, people get like new hardware, new notebook, phones, tablets, computers, whatsoever, and you still have your old gear. What do you do with that? You sell it quite often. So you go on some online websites, wherever, and you sell your stuff. The problem here is, of course, you have all your digital life on these devices. Your data is stored there. And how many people really think about deleting their data from the devices? And with deleting, I mean really shredding it, that no other person is able to gain access to it. So we were sitting around with this question in our mind. And we're thinking, okay, let's really go and buy a lot of different kind of devices to investigate how the situation looks like. I mean, it's basically known that you can recover data, so it's not a secret, no mystic thing, whatever. It's known. And we wanted to see how nowadays it looks like, if people are more aware of this risk or not. So we bought in total 185 different kind of devices, including notebooks, netbooks, simple hard drives, USB sticks, memory cards, everything you can imagine. And that was quite interesting. I mean, of course, we were not able to really dig through everything in detail, and that was also not the idea. Like, we were not thinking about, oh yeah, let's get all the data and let's walk through everything and check the private lives of people, because that was totally not our intention. So we developed a lot of scripts, and we were using tools in order to inspect if there's critical information on the disks and the storage media or not, and to see what's really going on. And that's really bad, the outcome, because basically just about 11% of the devices were cleared. Like really, there was nothing possible to recover from. In most of the other cases, around 74% were able to recover data, and in more than 15%, about 60%, 16.5% something, we were able to directly access the data without any hassle. Like just plug it in, and you had all the data there. The thing here is, of course, data is a term behind that. And that was quite interesting, and that was especially what we were using our scripts for, because, I mean, just imagine 184 devices. We're talking about more than 2 terabytes of unique data, which is a lot. Like, you cannot just simply scroll through. So we're using our scripts, and we found a lot of personal information, everything you can imagine, from CVs, financial information, credit card information, with full details. So credit card number, the CVV numbers, everything an attacker would need to abuse this credit card, for example. and of course all kind of very personal photos included, nude photos, of course. So the problem here really was that so many people still not aware of the critical data they're giving away with their devices when they're selling it, reselling it to other people. That's a huge problem.
Still not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah. It's
Oh, you're
Yeah,
back.
great. I'm
perfect.
back. I don't know how that happened, but I'm back. Was it a bit like diving into strangers' lives? I mean, it seems like you found everything you didn't want to find on these devices, right?
Yeah, as I said before, like we were really trying, especially not doing that, like we're not digging through every media in order to like trying to reconstruct the life or whatever, but we're just using tools to pick out samples when some word matches, for example. We had rules in place to identify if there are stored passwords, for example. Some stuff we needed to check in order to verify it, for example, photos. But we didn't really dig into all of that data because that's simply impossible. So we just picked out a few examples to really make it visual and clear about the level of the critical level of the information which is stored on these devices. But we're not like there may be even more on the devices, which we simply don't know, because that was not our intention. Our intention was first to check how many people really are aware of how to safely remove their data, and also what kind of data is left on the devices. Just thinking about what happens if an attacker goes on these platforms, buys all these hardware, and abuses it in a criminal fashion. And that would have been, in many, many cases, we have seen very, very dangerous. So they could have overtaken the full identity, access to financial and other systems, like everything you can imagine. Full digital life, basically. Yeah, it's gone.
And the hard drives and like USB stick came from only individuals or also like different companies or?
Now we're focusing on individuals. So we're really checking that it's like a regular person, and we were buying like one device from that person and then another device from another person. So to have a huge diversity, to really have, I mean, it's just 185 devices.
Yeah,
But because of the diversity, how we bought it, it gives quite a very good overview, also from a statistical perspective, how widespread this problem is, how unaware these people are.
okay, perfect. And you plan to do like a conference about that, like in the CCC or I don't know where?
We submitted this topic to several conferences, because it's from our perspective, it's important to really talk about it, because it's too easy to give away this essential information, which could potentially ruin the life of the people. I mean, just imagine it can be abused to blackmail people, to get their money, to abuse their identities, to really ruin the lives of the people. And that's, of course, very frightening. So we need to address this more and raise awareness on this problem.
Yeah, sure.
I think I'm back. Am I? Yes. So a few years ago, we did this event where we were selling art, and we were asking people to give us data in exchange, and we would put it outside on screens in a very, very busy London underground station. I was so shocked how easily people would hand me these. I remember the last person I sold to gave me his phone and said, take 10 pictures from it, and it was only naked pictures of his girlfriend. Why are people so unconcerned about privacy? Question to both of you.
You want to start?
No, go on.
Okay, the thing here is, from my perspective, it's partially really unawareness. Like they simply not thinking about what this data means or could mean. And on the other side, of course, we're living in a new area. Like it's completely different. I mean, taking nude photos, that's something I would say it's common, especially in younger generations. It's common. And personally, I don't blame these people doing that because it's just natural and habit in most cases. But we need to train them and educate them about how to really securely store data and how to handle data securely, not distributing it. Because this data handling, I think that's the main problem. Who's there who can educate them? The parents, in most cases, are not educated in this as well, and they're mostly different generation. They didn't have this kind of access to data information, digital technologies. And then you have nothing, and then there is the younger generation who is handling all of these new technologies in this new fashion. So I think here it's more a question on maybe experts on the governments to have proper education also in schools about digital technologies, about how to handle data, and not by saying, no, don't do that, but to educate them and train them what it means and what it can mean.
Okay, Felix, anything to add?
I think that like more and more users are like aware that there is a big issue with their privacy on like social network, for example. We have seen them switching from an instant messaging app to, for example, Signal quite recently. But the main issue is not like the privacy with social network, but in their like entire life. And I think, like as Marcus said, we need to work together with like governments, schools, in order to teach to young generations how to handle that, how to protect their life, how to protect all of the things related to their digital life. Because like maybe it's okay today, but when like this guy that you see in the street will become, I don't know, a deputy or a CEO of a big company, maybe some guys will harass him with very very like old pictures from him taken from like any social network or found on the internet. So we absolutely need to teach what is privacy and how to protect this young generation from that.
Cool. So, a call for more education. My final
What's your
question.
take on that?
My take on it is that there are people who are aware that they are paying for services with data. And if you are aware of it, then I think it's okay. It's fine. If you're aware what you're doing there. If you are not aware and you're just using everything that the internet offers to you by not thinking about it, then indeed we need more education. And I think most people are not thinking about privacy. They are not thinking about what could that data be used for, but they are just thinking about, ooh, there's this new service. They want access to my Facebook account. Yeah, that's fine. And that's it. And that is an issue for sure. Last question to both of you, because we wanted to do 20 minutes. It's already 35, of which I've been missing for 10 minutes, I think. What is a bigger danger from a cybersecurity researcher perspective? Negligence of people, so people not caring about their data, or malicious attacks like viruses, cyber attacks, whatever it would be?
I think both. Because like our negligence will help attackers to get access to our data too. So I think like both are real issues.
Yeah.
Marco?
Yeah, I agree. I think you cannot really choose between the two.
Super. Then that was these were the final words, basically. Thank you both for joining me here today. Sorry to the audience that I was lost for a while. My browser froze several times. I don't know why. I hope, Marco, that we will be speaking again in a month, and I hope, Felix, we will be speaking again soon, because I'm sure you have many, many more interesting stories to tell. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining in. We had 300 people watching in a total, which is not bad. So speak to you in a month at the same place. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
See you soon. Bye.
Thank you.